All right, so going into yep, game one of Aragon OP versus Alex 1. This is in the placements of the Autumn Championship 2018. The winner of this match will go on to face Lord Raphael in the round of 32, which is probably not something that either of them are looking forward to, but
no.
nonetheless.
Okay. So Alex spawns in the north as Russia, and we will have Aragon as Dutch in the south of the map, in blue. And yeah, both of these cities start with one explorer, so it's going to be an even battle in looking for those yaks. They also both usually don't go for trading posts, so oh, actually no, Dutch gets the envoy, of course.
Right.
So that's a little advantage for Dutch, finding these cows.
Yeah, so one scouting pattern that you'll often see is players go right into this middle of the map right here, where you see these multiple sets of 2 yaks. Looks like Aragon, starting off as Dutch, moved off, or yeah, Aragon as the Dutch, moved off onto this right side and left side of the map, but he's going to be picking up a couple of yaks right here.
Yeah, and Russia immediately finding a 90 wood treasure. Going for it immediately and picking that up. That's a really nice start. Getting 90 wood right off the bat.
Yeah, it looks like the other powerful treasure on this map is this 85 wood, also on the north side. It tends to be on Manchuria that you'll see 2 of these 85, 90 wood treasures, and usually they spawn on this left side of the map, but it's always a question of exactly where. Alex 1 getting the nice pickup early. Yeah, he did find it. Very nice for him too.
Yeah, but Aragon is also heading that way, so we might see it as well. Nah, it looks like he's gonna miss it. He's gonna steal the cow though, so yeah, that's something.
If we look at the cow count, it looks like Alex 1 sitting at 1 cow, but Aragon's picked up a nice bit with 5 and plus this 1 that he stole. So he making good use of that envoy, definitely. It looks like he's actually gearing up to get another 2 down in this middle of the map with his envoy, and so he'll be doing quite well. Once you get up to that 8 cow number, you start to think, okay, maybe is a livestock pen worthwhile?
Yeah. I guess not. I mean, does Dutch really need so much food?
Right.
Can they really afford to invest in the livestock so early on? Livestock pen, I don't know. Yeah. I'm curious to see if Alex decides to actually eat this cow to get a little bit up a little bit faster. That's something that people sometimes do with Russia, because you have a little bit of idle time, and eating the cow might like solve that. By the way, look at this, 15 HP.
Yeah, I was noticing that. Yeah, he did get that treasure. Nice for him, but he was very close. I think he was able to compute it and say, okay, I think I can take this. And so
yeah,
it worked out for him,
really
fortunately.
Nice. It's 175 wood already there for free for Russia.
Definitely, yeah. And Russians, nice, you know, it's nice for them when they can get a little bit of wood early on, because they do tend to make that blockhouse right in age 1 when they can. Yeah. And it just smooths out all their entire build. If they ship this, or if they get this basically 200 wood for free almost, and have a wood start and ship distributivism, they might be able to cut 700 wood later on. If you know, I don't know exactly how the build would work, but I know Russians tend to send 700 wood.
It's like 100 wood crates still on the ground. So yeah, he doesn't even have to get her at all. For the blockhouse, you can just get it up.
Yeah, definitely. Looks like no villagers going forward. Okay, there we go. So 2 villagers going forward for Alex 1. Pretty typical Russian play is to send the villagers forward for a forward blockhouse. And I don't think he'll need to be chopping a lot of wood right now. He's already at 360, meaning that he can make a blockhouse and a batch of straylets. So maybe just need 100 more wood to get a house, and then it'll be in pretty good shape.
Yeah, or maybe he goes for the market, I don't know.
That's true, yeah. You could do that as well.
But he took them up wood right now, so yeah. Yeah, and he's probably going to be looking to push Dutch very early, because obviously you cannot allow Dutch to get their eco going. Then you're going to lose probably. So Russia is going to try and punish Dutch for getting those banks up early.
Yeah, a big question in this matchup will be if the Russians are going to be able to keep the Dutch contained enough so that once the Dutch are able to get some banks up, they're not too far ahead, right? The Russians want to put up enough pressure so that Dutch won't be able to make banks without any harassment at all. Because if that happens, then once it's playing, an age down, say H3 Dutch versus H2 Russians, it becomes a lot harder to win the game unless you have a little bit of pressure put down so that their economy isn't out of control for you.
Yeah. Sometimes you also see Dutch going for the colonial militia, but
right.
I don't think Aragon will do that here. He goes for a stable first.
Okay.
So
calling for 1 second. Yeah, we did see that Aragon does have colonial militia in his deck, but I agree. I don't think he's necessarily going to send it. It's a card that you never really want to send, right?
No,
because
that's true,
it interferes with your build order so much. It's really, you only do it if you have to.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be that he thinks it's a good decision, but he doesn't, I think. He goes for the stable, yeah, it's a logical choice versus Russia.
Yeah.
You can combine your Hussars with the Minutemen and try to trap when he overcommits. Whereas the skirms is a really risky opening because you know that Russia is going to send those Cossacks very likely.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to defend them.
And the typical response out of Russians as a result is because you pretty much know that your opponent is going to start with a stable, is that you will then open with musketeers instead of streetlets.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe he will do that.
Yeah. Well, we see the 5 musketeers in queue right now for Alex.
Yeah, he has that.
Yeah,
he doesn't have anything in queue right now.
No. We see 5 muskets and 3 villagers actually in queue right now. Maybe our because of this pause, it might be a little bit out of sync between our UIs.
Yeah, I cannot see what he has in queue.
Oh really? Age of Empires 3 is always full of surprises in the coding. But yeah, I see 1 villager in queue for Aragon, a stable as well, and then 3 villagers and 5 musketeers for Alex 1.
Yeah, I think it's because you have the head tap open before the pause. It doesn't change.
Yeah, that would do it.
Yeah, and at some point, of course, Dutch also needs to worry about the Huns, because at some point they will have to come out of their base. That's usually the point that Russia is aiming for, right? So they want to lock Dutch up in their base and starve them, pretty much.
I was a little careful to make sure that the hunts were pretty even at the beginning, and it seemed like it's the case. And actually, look at what Aragon's doing right now. He's moving his cows around a little bit. I think he knows what he's going to be trying to block a little bit with these cows so that he has a bit of a better position. Nice move there.
Yeah, indeed. You can actually kill those cows, so they're really good as like a wall.
Right. And another bank going in for Bank Wagon actually has the first colonial shipment. Pretty good here. He doesn't have enough wood to get another bank if he wanted to. So maybe he'll just go for a house and wait for 700 wood to get that 3rd bank, which he definitely wants to do if he can. And Cossacks coming in for Alex 1.
Yeah, just standard 5 Cossacks. By the way, Comet just told me that you should turn my volume up a little bit.
Turn your volume up a little? Okay, I can do that, I think. Or I can turn me down. That might be the only option here.
Okay, so yeah, he's gonna try and pick up some bills, maybe. But Aragon, he seems to have set up his bills correctly.
Yeah, pulling off the villagers in just the right time, and actually getting a good 5 Hussar pop right here. He gets a good musketeer down. I think he's okay having this trade of musketeers, even if he loses Hussar for it.
Yeah, it's actually not too bad for Alex as well.
Right.
He lost 1 Cossack and 2 Mus.
So far, yeah, 1 Cossack and 2 musketeers for a bit of idle time and the Hussars. Villager could go down for... Yeah.
Yeah, they're the Minutemen.
Yeah. Now, Aragon has been doing a great job of keeping his villagers safe. He's lost a little bit of HP on them, but hasn't actually lost a villager yet, as far as I know.
Yeah, they're the 4th.
And he was doing a good job gathering just enough before pulling them in. It's something that you always want to be trying to do, right? Is when your enemy's in your base, you still want to be gathering as much as you can, because past that 10th villager in your town center, it doesn't really you don't get any value out of that in terms of the damage.
You have to be careful though with the stars. He's gonna lose them all, I think. Yeah, they're all dead. Yeah, that's unfortunate, losing 3 Hussars. Alex was in the right spot there to intercept those. And Alex, of course, because he killed those Hussars, he's of course pushing in right away.
A little bit more cow movement there, and actually it worked out pretty well for Aragon.
The cows blocking the units.
Yeah.
The Minutemen are still doing quite a bit of damage, even though they're all 1 HP. Yeah, now they're all gone. The Bill goes down as well. Maybe another one.
Yeah, a few villagers.
Yeah, that's 4 vills down now. Alex should be happy about that.
I think Aragon definitely in the first fight he managed it really well, keeping all of his villagers alive. The second time around he was trying to punch a little bit with the villagers, but wasn't quite there with the micro there. And lost actually.
Now Alex of course knows there no Minuteman pop is possible anymore, so he's just gonna push in a little bit further and take out a house.
Yeah, and only unfortunately one Hussar for.
And this is the problem, right? How do you ever get out of this? You need like a good pop.
Yeah, and unfortunately only one Hussar came out for Aragon here. He doesn't really have any food right now, and he does have a lot of wood on the ground, but if he wanted to get out of this, he would either probably need to build a market to just buy a bunch of food and be able to start making some Hussars.
Yeah, he only got 1 skirm out and also 1 Hussar, and he doesn't have Minutemen. And the 8 bike shipment is also not that great, and the 3 Hussar shipment.
Looks like 1 more Hussar coming out for Aragon. I think definitely the market here would have been a little bit more helpful in getting what he needed.
Yeah, probably. Usually it happens that Dutch just makes a market just to trade, right? So they don't really get the upgrades, they only use it to trade coin. That's probably what Aragon needed here as well.
Yeah, we can see him also losing houses, which is not so bad for him because he does have a lot of wood available both on the ground and currently stocked up. But even so, it's good damage that Alex is putting down.
Yeah, Alex is definitely doing a lot of damage here. And he's now going to the stable.
Yeah, I think the stable will go down before the next... Yeah, that's the issue.
Yeah,
okay, 3 Hussars coming out, but right into a batch of 5 Musketeers, and that's not where he wanted them, most likely. These Hussars aren't going to be doing much damage. Actually, another 13 streetlets coming in for Alex 1 there, plus another 10. Okay, and yeah, I think that's time to call it there.
Alex taking for a game, first game. Yeah, the pressure was just too much here for Aragon. Had to call Minutemen in the first fight, and Alex just kept pushing him, and he didn't really... He got idled really bad, and then it's so hard to get back from that.
Yeah, a little bit of lag in that last game. I don't think that it's anyone in particular, because I see various people go to yellow at different times. So it might, it might be me, but I think everybody's going yellow, like green-yellow to each other. Is what I've been noticing.
Also because of the distance, of course.
Yeah. So it's a little bit hard to resolve. We can, if we had a South American caster available, that'd be one thing. But
South American caster.
You can go hit up Lemmings again. That's the one caster, or maybe ex-caster who used to be able to do it.
Yeah, Alex just continuing his winning streak in the tournament. So far he hasn't dropped a game.
Oh really?
So let's see if he can do it again.
So the game is now hosted. I'm going to look to turn you up a little bit, but I have to figure out how to do that.
Okay.
Okay, no, I can't turn you up. I just have to keep turning myself down. And everybody else has to turn their volume up. Yeah, you are a little bit yellow-red right now.
Is my ping bad?
I mean, so you look yellow-red to me, or yellow, and then Aragon is saying that you're yellow-red.
Okay, it's weird because I don't see him red at all. I see him yellow green, and I see
Yeah.
you and Alex green.
Yeah. So I see him as yellow-green. So that's definitely he has some influence on the state. But so I saw you yellow-red for a bit. Did you see me yellow-red, or did you see Alex yellow-red?
No, I see Alex and you green all the time.
Hmm.
Just Arrogant sometimes yellow.
Okay, we're gonna go into a lag test real quick.
All right. But I only see Arrogant now yellow. I see all of you green except
Yeah.
Arrogant.
I see him and you as yellow-green. And I see Alex as yellow-green. I think everybody here is just a little bit laggy. Okay, Aragon picking Aztecs, and it looks like he's okay with just playing the game out. Alex won, of course, picked Germans,
Yeah.
it seems.
Are we not gonna do a lag test?
It seems like Aragon doesn't have a desire to do so. So, the lag test if both players are okay with it. Okay. Otherwise, we can do a lag test, and if it's unplayable, then unfortunately, Lucky, it looks like Mitoe will have to sub in for you.
Okay. Yeah, it's fine if Mitoe subs in for me.
Yeah, it'd be a little bit easier. We'd have 2 North Americans and 2 South Americans, which still, it's not ideal, but it's better to have
Just
2
fine
continents than
if
3, usually.
So should we do that then? I can
Um,
show.
If you want to, then we can go for that. Let's. Yeah, if you're okay with doing it, then we can just call Mitoe in.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's do that.
Okay. Okay, well, thanks very much for casting with me and for casting with Chrissy previously. And we'll see you later on.
Yeah, sure. So good luck casting the rest of the series, and I'll see you later. So I'll leave the call.
Okay.
So see you later. Bye.
Yep. See you. Thanks for casting.
Yeah. No problem.
Okay, Mitoe will be arriving in just a minute. Okay, well,
Hello.
hi. How's it going?
going?
Pretty good. So yes, thank you for subbing in. We just had a bit of lag with Lololaki due to having 3 continents that we're trying to get this game set up. But now we have only 2, and that's much better. Currently, Alex 1 leads 1-0 in this best of 3 series, and we'll be going into Aztecs versus Germans on Gran Chaco.
All right, sounds good.
So, Gran Chaco I know is a no TP map, so I'm a little bit curious about Alex 1's decision to pick Germans here. Can you illustrate that a little bit here?
Sorry, you were cutting out a little bit. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, so Alex 1 is picking Germans here, and I know this is a no TP map. I'm a little bit curious about the motivation behind this pick. Do you know anything about how Germans might play on a no TP map?
Well, typically German has been a pretty good counter to Aztec, just because Aztec has like sort of a weakness to cavalry.
I see.
Because KOD runners don't deal very well against cav, and it's pretty difficult to mix in Puma sometimes, since they cost gold when the rest of your units cost wood. Usually Germany's pretty good, but on a non-TP map, doing anything fortress related is probably out of the question, so he's probably going to be stuck doing something in H2 here to defend the early aggression, and then trying to break out of his base later.
I see.
I don't think it's that. I don't think it's going to be too rough for German, but the longer the game goes, the more it'll hurt him probably.
I see, interesting. And now, about the scouting patterns on this map, I can see we have pairs of 2 llamas all centered around the middle of the map. Are there any other treasures that are worth looking at? I see this 120 coin treasure down in this side, but I'm not sure if there's anything else that has like a high priority for for scouting.
There tends to be pretty high-level treasures that just spawn all around the edge of the map. So usually scouting on the edge of the map is pretty good. But also anytime you find a pond on this map, 2 sets of 2 llamas will spawn next to either pond. And usually those pawns will spawn in the middle like this, or on either corner, so where the native TPs are right now.
I see.
So, to be honest, as long as you're scouting, as long as you pick a side and then you scout around the pond when you find it, it's usually a good strategy. Find good treasures and llamas.
Okay, so we see both players just picked up 2 llamas each. Unfortunately, Alex found each llama sort of separately, and so they're a bit split off from each other. But nonetheless, I think both players are pretty happy with that. I did see that Alex got a nice treasure just now. Okay, maybe not that nice. It was only 60 food. Thought it was much nicer. But he was picking up another one right now, and this is the 120 coin that I was looking at.
60 food will still be nice. It's always good to make sure that you can secure an age of time without idle time against Aztec. And I'm sure it'll help him since his herding hasn't been ideal so far. His bills have had to walk a lot, so it should help compensate a little bit for that early walking time.
Yeah, this looks like a map where I noticed when I looked at it, I said, okay, the hunts kind of spawn a little far on this map. It's like your starting hunt, that is. It seems like both players have a lot of hunts pretty close to their base, but that first hunt you have to do a little bit of herding originally. Always my least favorite type of map to play on, especially like on Great Lakes, where I have to go scout outside my TC line of sight to find my first hunt.
It can be a little bit annoying sometimes, for sure.
Yeah. So another, it looks like Alex is gearing up for this treasure right here. He's just doing the crack shot right now, but he looks like he can take another couple of llamas right now if he wanted to. I saw Aragon just immediately kill his llamas to eat them, trying to go for a faster age up. If Alex gets all 6 llamas, I don't think it will be very consequential to the rest of the game. He might try to take them if he's really starved on food, but there are some pretty good hunts if he's willing to herd them in. And I don't think it's worth building a livestock pen for.
Yeah, it's still an option, but it would be pretty slow, and Aztec is a pretty aggressive civ, so
yeah,
you always have to keep that in mind anytime you want to invest in something like a livestock pen. 2 villagers coming forward for Aragon, so it is going to be the standard sort of Aztec pressure. Maybe not all in, we might go for some sort of contain, we'll have to wait and see.
Okay.
Meanwhile, not a whole lot to say about what's going on Alex's base. He's starting to herd his second hunt now. Looks like that will probably be under his TC before he has to expect any sort of enemy units. Grabbing the market and everything's looking pretty standard so far for both players.
A bit of an unusual bit of treasure contention going on here. So Alex was starting a treasure, but then Aragon found it, and Alex had to back off, and Aragon took the treasure. But then Alex found the treasure that Aragon was working on, which had a pirate, which Alex was really easily able to crack shot. And so they both just took each other's treasures from each other. I think Alex got the better end of that. He got 135 coin in addition to his 120 coin previously, whereas Aragon's been sitting on a lot of XP right now. And so, yeah, the basically 200 coin worth of treasures that Alex is getting is going to be really nice if he was wanting to make any units in Colonial at all, which I'm expecting he's going to need to against this pretty aggressive play or pretty aggressive start from Aragon.
For sure, pretty good. Going to be pretty good for him. Starting with a stable, that's pretty standard for Germans in this matchup, I would say. But if you actually look at Aragon, he's got quite a few bills on gold, so I think he's just going to start Puma, and might force some early Minutemen or something here, or maybe even kill a house.
Yeah, we see 6 Puma shipment coming out. We see 2 Coyotes in queue for Aragon, but I wouldn't be surprised if he followed that up with a Puma queue. 4 Coyotes actually coming out for Aragon right now. I think he just missed that last one. But nonetheless, yeah, I think, when you have 6 Pumas like this, and then when you have more Pumas in queue, it can be really hard for Germans early on. I think I in particular have a really hard time dealing with these early sort of Puma screaming rushes.
But Minutemen coming out, they do bonus against Pumas. The Pumas are labeled as siege units, but the melee mode's kind of rough for them.
Yeah.
Bulon's coming out now too.
We actually saw the...
even Bill's getting worked into the fight, taking some damage.
Yeah. So we saw the Minutemen focus on the blowgunner at first. So they actually used up 2 of their shots, 2 full volleys of Minutemen, fought the blowgunner instead. And I think that changed the fight a little bit. The fight still seems to have gone in Alex's favor mostly. Maybe not definitively. I don't think he got the definitive victory he really wanted because he lost a lot of Ulans and Minutemen for that. But
yeah, no, definitely favorable for Aragon here. But this house is going to go down. I think. I don't know if Alex has enough to defend it here. He does have a racks up now, but still no infantry. 8 crossbows popping. That might save the house. 115 HP.
Yeah, actually, very good timing on those crossbows. Just barely
it's actually really important that he saved that too, because he hasn't sent 3 settler wagons. He might not ever get the chance to send 3 settler wagons with the amount of pressure that's getting put on here. And any extra bit of wood that he saves will be some more crossbows to help defend this.
Yeah. I think the house might... okay, maybe not. Yeah, I hope he repairs it. And actually, I'm a little concerned about this house placement right here. It's a little bit aggressive, or rather out there. And it's another house that is likely to just go down to some incidental Puma spearmen.
Yeah, but at the same time, how much ground do you concede, right? He can concede this sort of front area, but then he'll have to start gathering on resources that are a little bit more exposed, maybe. Won't have villagers available to aid in the fight or enter the TC and provide TC fire and stuff like that if he has to fall back too far. So in a way, that house kind of is almost sort of symbolizes his desire to fight for the resources out front there. I see.
He does have some pretty good hunts available to him, right? He still has this hunt down by his market, and he has a hunt behind his town center, which are available to him. And he's still hunting in base as well, so I think he's got a pretty good number of resources right now. Bit of engagement going on here. There's not a lot of Puma, and I think the crossbowmen can keep picking them off. Another batch of Ulans right here would be really helpful. Oh, and yeah, nice raid going down too.
Yeah, but at the same time, he's focusing maybe a little bit too much on the raid, getting his crossbows caught in melee with the Puma spearmen.
Yeah.
And he's going to have his whole army cleaned up here.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised about that. It seemed like the fight was going pretty well for him, but he might have been a bit distracted because he lost all. He had enough Ulans and enough crossbowmen to not really lose that fight if he didn't want to. But it seems to have gone pretty badly for him. Doppelsolder's coming out, and that's a good shipment, but
Mace do very well against heavy infantry, though. They could die pretty fast with some focus fire. But all the mace actually going down here, and this is actually going to go really well for Alex.
Yeah, I think it's you never underestimate Doppelsolders in melee mode. Once they close the distance, they just take everything down, even if they are mace. And a few more Pumas, but I think that Alex has enough units right now to just take down this war hut without much contention.
Not quite.
Yeah,
enough,
not with
maybe.
this.
Not gonna risk it.
Yeah.
But 2 Ulans still sitting in the back of Aragon's base, getting some pressure down. He has already killed the warrior priest and a few villagers, which is very good for him. I don't know if he's identified how many vills are just sitting right out front here, but if he does find that could be a game changer.
Yeah, he is parking right now on this hunt over here on the north side, and actually there's another hunt and another hunt, so 3 hunts that are in some sense controlled by Alex if he were to move his Ulans a little bit, and that's going to be really annoying for Aragon over time, but actually a big fight going on in the middle of the map.
I think 5 Ulan shipment coming in to reinforce.
Yeah, and I think that's actually just going to be enough to clean up the Pumas and get through to the maces.
But he's not focusing down the Pumas, and the Pumas are just eating away at the Ulans.
Yeah, another close fight. I think both players.
He's going to clean it up in the end, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it was worth the cost.
Yeah, but that's pretty accurate. I think it seemed like he had a lot of. He had to spend a shipment basically to get that fight to be won. And even though he did win the fight, Ulans are very expensive units compared to all these cheap units, the maces and even the Pumas. So I think, if we look at the economic score, Aragon's still a little bit ahead, and you know, Alex, he has to be a little bit careful not to run out of resources. We saw him run out of one mine just now, and now he's on the second mine, but that mine is actually going down pretty quickly too, and after that he's going to go on to this third mine right here, most likely, but that's pretty far away, and it's going to be pretty exposed.
At least one house going to go down here. Alex isn't prepared to defend that just yet. Sending some more Ulans in for a raid, but there is a war hut going up to ensure those villagers have somewhere safe to garrison.
Actually, the war chief getting revived for Aragon right here is actually pretty useful right now, because the number of units are so small that this war chief has a much larger effect. I can't actually find where these Ulans are. Oh, okay, I just found them. They're a little bit hard to see. Oh, it's because I have the wrong... okay. I had economic units on the minimap for a while.
That would do it.
Yeah, I kept missing all these raids, and I was trying to find out why.
Yeah, he got a few more bills with that. Coming in again for a few more, but still losing houses out front of his base at the same time.
Yeah, we can see actually Aragon's managed to sneak in that 5 villager shipment. He's actually doing really well on the shipment count, partially due to all that XP treasure, but also due to that war chief or warrior priest that was dancing. So he's 2 shipments ahead right now. Maybe Alex will have another one coming in any minute now, but yeah, Alex hasn't been able to ship settler wagons. He's shipped actually 600 wood again, and I think he's starting to fall a little bit behind economically. Actually, getting some good raids down. So the villager lead was 5 in Aragon's favor a moment ago, but now it's only 2. But even so, you know, Aragon, he could ship another 4 villagers, I think, if he has that in his deck. Oh, actually, he doesn't. Okay, never mind.
The dot mass is getting pretty large now. If he just has a few more Ulans for this fight, I don't know if Aragon has enough Pumas to really deal with it.
Yeah, you have to be careful though to make sure that the dots actually get to close, because there's a lot of maces, and you know they can kill several dots before they actually get into range. Looks like 1 dot going down, 2 dots, and okay, he does close the distance down. Actually, this might be a really good fight for Alex.
Yeah, mace dropping very fast. Puma just walking past the Ulans as well, getting onto the crossbows. Not ideal for Aragon. And I think Alex is going to clean this up.
Yeah. Fight goes again pretty well for him. I think, you know, it could have gone a little bit better again. He did lose 6 out of those 8 tops to that fight, and that war chief was doing a ton of work, just taking 2 tops on his own for a while there. But yeah, still the fight goes in his favor. I think he might be able to... he probably can't push right now, and I'd like to see actually Aragon repair this war hut to make it full health, but...
yeah, but I think Alex has weathered the scariest part of the Aztec colonial. Alex hasn't sent 3 settler wagons just yet, but I don't think Aragon really has a whole lot of options for putting on some more pressure, and his villagers are getting more exposed, which is obviously going to be good for Alex if he decides to go for raids again, which we all know Germans are very good at doing.
Yeah, he did actually just send the 3 settler wagons in now, and he does have the economic lead. We do see that Alex is starting to mine exposed locations, right? We have this mine over here that could go down to a raid if he's not careful. The hunts, meanwhile, are a lot more secure, right? It looks like there's a lot of hunt on this map and not so many mines. And as a result, it's a lot harder to hunt, to mine safely than it is to hunt. Fight going down in the middle. I don't think that Aragon just has enough units right now to deal with all this stuff. There's a lot of crossbowmen.
Yeah, Dobbs getting onto the base there.
Yeah. Okay, 3 Jaguar Prowl Knights and Puma Pop, but you know, it's still maybe not going to be enough. He might be able to. Yeah, it's going to be close.
It looks like he's gonna save. Oh no, 5 more Dobbs coming in.
Yeah, 5 Coyote Runners.
Right, Coyotes.
Yeah.
Nope, Coyotes managed to get away. But yeah, looks like Alex manages to clean it up. Might be able to clear out these war huts if he chooses to, but no, he's just going to make sure that those coyotes don't get onto any of his villagers.
Yeah, the war hut was a little bit low on hit points, and I think with the single doppelsoldier he would have been able to do it, but I guess he's not in any particular rush to take down this war hut right now. He does get the war chief again, which is a nice 100 XP pickup. Some Ulans, a bunch of doppelsoldiers out. I think that he'll be able to take down this war hut without too much of a problem, and then, you know, this other war hut's not going to stand very long either. Yeah, villagers going out, but they're not going to go anywhere. Alex was paying attention, and yeah, war hut's going to go down. And I'm not too sure what Aragon has available as options right now.
Yeah, with these war huts down, he doesn't have a lot of presence on the map. There's a lot of exposed villagers on the left side, and there's not really enough time for him to train the army to defend any sort of his base. We all know the war huts take such a long time to build compared to other military buildings as well. And two Ulans identifying that there's villagers on the left here, and just running past them for now.
The villagers getting in on the fight.
Looks like Aragon might get away.
Yeah, there's still some villagers exposed that Alex can take down if he sees them. But I think even if he doesn't, he's going to be in a pretty good position. He just took down a third war hut. There's a fourth war hut that he'll be able to walk over to as well. And yeah, you know, there's not really a lot of units available for Aragon to be able to deal with this. He doesn't even have resources really to deal with it either. He's stacking a lot of food because that's in some sense the only resource he can really gather safely right now.
Yeah, and I don't know if he has an answer for this this army that's just knocking on his front door. Puma coming out. Not going to be super useful against the Dops, but they will maybe dissuade some of the Ulans from raiding. It looks like Alex is just going to hunt them down. Doesn't want Aragon massing any sort of resistance.
Yeah, these sorts of disadvantageous fights, right? Even if this fight isn't necessarily cost-effective, which even then it probably is, it's better to just have no army at all for Aragon than
exactly, yeah,
just a little bit. And so yeah, taking down another set of maces, as long as he's able to keep like these individual batches of units, keep fighting those, he'll be in a pretty commanding position for the rest of the game. And actually going up to H3 as well, so I think we might be seeing Aragon call it once that happens. I don't know if he has enough siege to take down this town center, but oh yeah, that could be.
It's going down slowly. Two Ulans identifying that there's some villagers on the right side as well.
It doesn't. Okay, yeah, there's actually a war hut here, so I think that Aragon will just be able to pull out. This town center. Okay, he's taking the villagers instead. I don't think he'd actually be able to take down the town center. I think it would be a little bit too close.
And villagers popping out of the TC. Just to defend. Coyotes coming out. So it looks like he will hold by the skin of his teeth. But Alex is in the Fortress Age now.
Yeah, that's the big thing right now. So he's queuing up skirms and war wagons, and you know, I mean, Aragon, he has some options available to him. He has a few coyote runners. These villagers on the mine are still very exposed. He could pull off a few things, but it's going to be really hard against H3 composition that Alex is starting to build up.
So I guess we sort of have to think about what Aragon's game plan has to be from this position. He can't exactly follow Alex up at the fortress, so he knows that the only way he's going to get back into this game is to keep Alex distracted and keep his villager count as close to equal as possible. So he is sending some coyote runners to raid on the left side here. Unfortunately, he did miss the gold mine, but he knows that he has to do some sort of damage if he wants to stay competitive in this game. So heading towards the hunt, is going to spot some villagers now.
Yeah, definitely making the smart play of going around. He unfortunately didn't quite catch those villagers on that side of the map, but oh, he might catch these ones. He might just have to go back to his base.
Not quite, but he could catch. Nope, doesn't look like he's going to run through there either. So unfortunately, just missing 2 big groups of villagers.
Yeah. Just barely misses both of them.
But Alex doesn't have a lot of anti-cap here. Puma getting onto the war wagons, Coyotes coming in from the back.
Yeah, this fight could go pretty well for Aragon. I mean, relatively speaking. I think the war wagons will survive, but he's going to take down a lot of skirms, and yeah, that's kind of what he needed.
Yeah, this is kind of the best trade he could have hoped for. Manages to clean up all the skirmishers without losing too many coyote runners.
Yeah, now he needs to pull back a little bit. Okay, it's not terrible.
Looks like he might just try to run down the war wagons. War wagons are not super speedy units for sure, but Ulan's coming in to reinforce. And Aragon's not paying enough attention.
Yeah, I'm thinking what he might be distracted by, because unfortunately, yeah, he really needed to save all of those coyote runners. Ideally, he would have pulled back even before that extra pop of 5, and then would have just moved them away and started raiding. As it stands, with all those coyote runners being cleaned up, that really was the only thing that was keeping him treading water here.
Yeah, he had a small sliver of hope with those coyote runners, and then just one small mistake, and the hope is gone. So Alex back in the commanding position. 9 Ulans and 5 skirmishers coming to reinforce from across the map. And I don't know that Aragon can mass any sort of answer to this after losing those coyotes. He's popping out a few more coyotes now. Gonna kill 1 war wagon and maybe an Ulan or 2. But the Ulan's reinforcing. I think that's going to be all she wrote.
Yeah, I think the war wagons might go down. We've got another war wagon going down, and that last war wagon is it's very low on hit points. Okay, so it does go down, but yeah, there's so many Ulans now. A few skirmishers as well. He has to garrison again in his town center, and he's going to be losing the war hut, so definitely not looking too good. He's got war huts available, so he's not out of making units, but he does run the risk of just losing his town center right now. I'd also like to see him push a few villagers off of wood right now, so that he could move on to getting other resources and maybe building up an army. You can see that, right, he's not so behind economically. It's 12 villagers, which isn't awful. Even if he lost the town center, it's plausible that if he were to stay spread out and gathered enough resources, he could mass up a little bit of an army, and so his position wouldn't be... It would be very hard to come back from, but not impossible, certainly. But it does require him to move some of these villagers off of wood.
Just one thing I think to point out real quickly is Alex has actually transitioned to double stable. And I actually really like this decision because he knows that there's no way that Aragon could possibly follow him up to Fortress with the state of his economy and how exposed all of his villagers are, and just how far behind he is in general. So instead he's opting for the more mobile army to keep up the pressure, and also just knowing that those Ulans can probably fight really any unit that Aragon could possibly train.
Yeah, it's important, I guess, once the town center gets taken down, that you have to keep a mobile army, so that once you lose your town center, the way you usually come back is that you spread out a lot. You try to make sure that you're fighting in a lot of different places. Okay, Aragon does call it, and Alex will be going up 2-0, winning the best of 3 series and going on to face Lord Raphael in the round of 32. Maybe not the opponent that he most wanted to face going into round of 32, but nonetheless, he did pretty well this tournament. I believe that this is not the first game he's been playing, or rather, this isn't the first tournament match he's played. He's played a few others, and he won all of those as well. So, pretty exciting to see him, and hopefully he'll be continuing to play. I believe this is also his tournament debut.
Mm-hmm. And I think this game showed some pretty good decision making from him too. I think a lot of German players, just in general, sort of just send something like 3 settler wagons first, sort of no matter what the situation is, no matter what map or game or whatever,
yeah,
just sort of on autopilot. And Alex actually opted to delay that 3 settler wagon shipment for a long time, sort of anticipating this early aggression from Aragon. And because he held out on that shipment in the early game, he managed to mass just enough units to defend, and then get himself back up economically by raiding, and then sort of even out the game that way. And then once he established sort of that military presence, then he realized it was safe to send 3 settler wagons, and that was what put him ahead in the end.
Yeah. Some really cool Age 2 fights going on there. It was really nice to actually see this pretty low economy, pretty low unit, pretty micro-intensive battles going on between the Germans and Aztecs. But then definitely once Alex managed to get a lead there, it kind of fell apart for Aragon. He wasn't really able to come back in any real capacity, especially once Alex got up to Age 3.